Hi guys and girls, welcome back to Resin Maniacs TV. I'm your host Bill Lappe, and today we have none other than Steve Riojas, one of the most sought after painters in the industry. Where did it all start? I mean, you just did it when you were a kid? Were you into painting models? Was it paper drawing?
When I was a kid, it would be like 1963 or so, the Aurora model kits, and I was about 8 years old, 9 years old. I started right back then, and that and the Weirdos, Rat Fink, and just kept going and going till you discover rock and roll music and cars and girls and stuff, and the models go away. And then all of a sudden in the 90s, I don't know, I was in some comic store and I saw, what was it, Terry Webb's book. And the guy says, you ever check this out? And I look at that and I go, oh my God, what is all this stuff? And it's all these monster movies that I was into monster movies too when I was a kid, famous monsters and all that stuff.
How was your childhood? Were you going to art school, or you didn't go to art school? Or how?
Oh no, I didn't do anything. I just...
Well, tell me to say,
just
I was never formally trained. I just picked,
yeah.
Go into that.
Yeah, never formally trained, ever. It was just, I mean, I remember doing the Aurora Wolfman and painting big swatches of blood on his chest, you know, because it just looked cool, you know, but you do it enough times and you start learning. And I used to do tanks and airplanes too, and that started making me learn how to dry brush and things like that when I was, when I was a kid.
Do you prefer to do one thing over another? Is it chicks or is it cars? Or I understand there's some big things in that you do.
Yeah, well, I started out with the monster stuff because I was like a monster kid and that, but I was always fond of dinosaurs and going to the museum and seeing the big dinosaurs. And I think when I first started going to Wonderfest, which was, I think it was '99, I'm pretty sure it was my first one. And I met Charlie McGrady, and I think I entered a dinosaur model kit in a contest, and he goes, well, how'd you like to work on something bigger? So I'm thinking, well, if I was painting something like this, something bigger is this. But it turns out it's life-size, so I drive out to where he works in Illinois and started painting life-size dinosaurs. And I brought my friend Anthony Mestis along with me. He kind of showed me the ropes of a lot of the garage kit world and stuff, so we just sort of tackled it together. And ended up in the long run, after about 5 or 6 years, doing probably 100 different types of dinosaurs, ranging up to a 40-foot T-Rex. And there's always this time frame. That's the one thing I've learned in this whole hobby stuff, is everybody wants it yesterday, no matter what it is. So we've got a 40-foot T-Rex and we need it in 3 days, Steve, get on it, you know. So that's doing that kind of stuff. So that was
do you see a big difference in, is there a big difference? We had George Stevenson here earlier, and obviously he has the one-to-one size kits, and he said it was kind of daunting for modelers or painters, like, I don't know if I can paint that big. What was it like to paint a T-Rex? I mean,
it's just, it was the same as a little one. Just, you know, I would have to sit there and go, all right, and I'll just start and do it the same way I did with the little ones, only it's just bigger. It takes a little bit longer, but really it's not that big a deal. It's just getting your head around it, you know? It's not that big a thing.
You know, growing up in the city with big buildings, there's always a lot of people around, and, you know, some kids could share ideas and kids, so it wasn't odd that there'd be one kid or 5 kids on the block doing models. When you were a kid painting, was there a lot of artists in your community? I don't know, what was it like in where you grew up? I
grew up in like suburbia. So you remember Leave It to Beaver? That's what it was like, you know, and so everybody watched the same shows, everybody watched they all had the same model kits, so we were all doing it at the same time. You know, everybody read Mad Magazine and Famous Monsters. So not so much, I never thought of it as art. It was just trying to make these things cooler, you know.
Have you been painting since you were a kid, or was it like a hiatus in between? And who was some influences as far as artists go?
As far as this stuff?
Painting or whatever, you know, is it the painting or anything, you know, like if you might have drew from paintings of Frazetta that helped you figure out how
Oh yeah, I was a big fan. I'll tell you, you know, getting into this stuff and like in the early 90s, seeing all these kits in these collection books and stuff, I was just mainly just wanted to get the models, and I just figured you'd color them just like I used to do the old Auroras. And then you'd start seeing these articles and stuff and pictures from these model shows that they were having in the East. That I'm in Denver, I'm so far away, it's just like, you know. And then I go, wow, these guys are really they're really making them look cool, you know. So then I'd start studying what they're doing, reading a little thing by David Fisher or whoever, you know, was doing that. And so yeah, I started studying it. Just like everybody, I bet you everybody was doing this exact same thing.
So how did you start working for the magazine? Tell us about your involvement in the magazine.
I entered into this contest at Wonderfest, and I got a gold medal with a Sea Dragon kit, which is kind of funny because I thought it was, you know, really great, and I did a great job. And it turns out that I had forgotten to paint like half of the opposite side of it because I was in such a rush to get it done on time. But the way it was set up is that you couldn't, you know, nobody was going to turn it around to look at it. So it looked really cool from the front, but on the back it was like very empty. And so they told me, oh, you got a gold for the Sea Dragon, really? You know, I was thinking I would lose big time on that. But anyway, Terry Webb saw me, he goes, yeah, it looked really cool, we'll have to talk. And that was it. And then that was the year also I went to Chiller. And then I was just meeting Rob Rotundi and all these guys, John, and you know, these guys in New York. And so yeah, I go out there. And then Terry said, how do you like to start working in the magazine? So that was a big plus. I was very happy, you know.
What's the challenge? I mean, you've been involved with writing for the magazine since issue 20. Is it a daunting task? Does everybody get up and say, oh God, I gotta do this, or it just comes natural? Tell me a little bit how you've been involved.
Sometimes it is.
What's that?
But sometimes it's daunting, you know. Most of the time it's kind of fun, you know you're gonna be in the magazine, other people are gonna see it, and you know, you try to do the best you can. And I think the worst part is writing it, you know. Doing the model kit and taking pictures, that's easy. But sitting there and typing all this article, and oh, I use this color. Do I sound like the last article? Who sounds like the last article? Who sounds like the last one? You know, that's the tough part for me.
How do you reinvent yourself as a painter? And what I mean by that is it a, you know, you can get into a certain rut, and then you're like, wow, you know, put it down. How do you and what's your favorite? I don't want to say, I guess medium. You use pastels? Is it oils? What do you take most?
I use everything as much as I can that I know about. The one thing I don't do is oils because I don't know about them, you know. But I got to learn that. But I use airbrush, you know, paintbrush. Oh, gosh, pastels, whatever I can. If you know, I'll be cruising on YouTube and then I see these military modelers and I see the stuff they do with tanks. I go, oh my God, that's going to look so cool on this. So try to, you know, then I'm on a quest to find the stuff that they use. So I just keep doing that until, you know, just whatever it takes to make it look good.
Who are some of the most interesting people you've met?
Artists, the artistic thinking, these guys that would just say, I'm going to make giant dinosaurs, and they just do it. And then you grow up in not a small town, in suburbia, and you think, you know, I worked in a factory for like 30 years, almost 30 years. So you just get regimented in your life, and I do little models on the side. And then you see these guys that are just, they're looking at art, and I said, well, you know, maybe I can do this stuff too. So my mind really opened up to a lot of these guys. When you see guys like Charlie, like Fisher, all the model kit producers, and you see the stuff that they're into and what they do, you know, and the lengths that they go to, you know, to give us the stuff. It's good to be part of that group because I really enjoy it, you know.
What exactly is a pre-paint? And when you paint a model, where does it go? And does it come back with is it a 3D printing coming back, or is there somebody actually in overseas painting something?
The pre-paint business it's a little strange how they started doing that. I never really gave it much thought. I did a couple things for, I think it was called Diamond Select, and I did a couple things for them, but I just never really thought much about it. But my friend Anthony Mestis, that I worked with the Dinosaurs on, he was hired to Sideshow, and then he contacted me. He says, "Would you like to do some prototypes for that?" And I said, "Sure, I'll try that." And that's really nice. It's strict. You have to do things the correct way, the way they want you to do them. But it's kind of fun at the same time. I have to paint 2 of them, and one stays at Sideshow. One goes out to China for mass production. But and they have a time frame. You got to get it done. So it's more like going to work.
When you say mass production, what is it? Is it your painting? Is it reproduced 3D, or is it somebody actually painting it? And how does that? I don't know. I'm trying to wrap my whole head around it.
I've never been there, how they do it, but I think they've got a bunch of people painting them. But they use mine as a guide on how to do it.
Have you ever seen ones that look as good as yours, or is it almost exact replica, or is it?
In the beginning, they were kind of lack, but nowadays they're getting better and better. And some of them are really nice. I can see it that the collectability of them are getting up there now because they're really nice pieces.
Is there one kit that you haven't painted that you say, "I got to paint this before I punch out"?
Doing stuff I've been painting for other people, like being like a painter for hire, and I started doing that in the 90s, and for the local area, in Denver, and then kind of branched out as I guess your name gets out there or whatever. And I would get stuff in trade. I never really paint much stuff for myself. I'm always doing other things. So you get this collection of stuff. But there were some Japanese kits, future model stuff that I always liked, but I never really got to do. But I have them all sitting there, or they're in the vault somewhere. But I never got to do that stuff. So it would be nice to do that.
Do you have family, kids? Is it?
Yeah, I've been married for 25, 26 years. I've got a daughter, 25 years old.
What do they think about Daddy? Like in my house, it's like I was saying, when they were kids, they bring all their friends over. Look what Daddy does. What does your family think about your passion?
They used to think I was a weirdo until I started making money. And then all of a sudden, look at Steve. He's the art guy, But before that, it was Steve was the creepy dude that got the creature from the Black Lagoon for Christmas. You know what I mean? That's how that worked.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
It's like I think
my wife was always with it. She always thought it was cool. But I remember there was some kind of embarrassing. "Oh, thank you. What is it?" "Oh, well, it's Frankenstein." "Okay, Steve, thanks." But once it's a business, and all of a sudden it's all in the up and up.
So this is primarily what you do. This is all you do is paint, or then you do maybe other things, or that's it?
Yeah, I retired from the factory back in '01, and I've been full-fledged into painting kits, and and I went to Dinosaurs, and then went to Sideshow, but and you have your retirement. So I don't know if it's a real job, but in my situation it kind of works.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't say that this is a good profession, but it's fun for somebody who has a retirement.
And how do we get kids back into this so we can keep our hobby alive?
Tell you the truth, I don't think this hobby, I think that's just for us. That's what I have always thought. It's just, we grew up in front of the television watching the same programs at the same time, same movies, the same magazines. I think it's mainly for us. There'll be young people coming up, but I think it's our thing, and I bet you it dies with us. I'll tell you what, though, I really love seeing all the guys with I missed the award ceremony this year, but I used to really like going there and watching them do it, because you know, this whole thing about, oh, I'm Mr. Painter, or, you know, oh, who's that? Oh, he's Mr. Painter. All that stuff that's just nothing. What really best thing is all these guys buying kits and entering in the contest and talking about what they're going to do with the stuff that it's all, I like that the best. I like seeing them. Wonderfest is like my show. You know, it's like a waltz right in, and everything was great, and it's always been fun, and I've always did well, but like I said, I know what it is. I know it's all of ours. You know, it's not a oh gosh, it's hard to put in words.
You mentioned something. It's all about when I started in the '90s, and once you figured out a technique, sometimes it was very secretive. And you'd ask somebody, "Hey, Steve, what'd you do here?" Like, what? Did you ever come across any of that type of ego where I used to see a lot where guys were like, "Oh, that's the great looking can of Bud that he painted," but you know what? I hate. It's like a love-hate relationship. You see something, and they're like, "Oh crap, I got to compete against him." And then there's other guys who are like, "I just do this for me, and I'm enjoying it." Do you share your techniques, or did you see any resistance back in the day about people holding stuff back? I mean, I'm trying to get a little into the old lore of how this whole thing started, you know?
Oh, you know, I would think that sometimes, you know. Say, well, all these guys coming in, they're going to take my stuff from me, you know. No, not really, but it makes you a little bit, well, I got to work a little harder. But at the same time, you know, and then you step back and look at it and you go, you know, it's good seeing what they're doing, and I let go of it, and it's just enjoyable. I really do. That was the best thing, was to let go of it, of the competition, because I enjoy the competition. I mean, I would love to go in there with contests and stuff. I get a big kick out of trying to win, but to really worry about it, anymore I don't. I mean, I'll say that there was maybe at a point where I was trying to win, but now I understand.
Is there a dream project you would work on? Do you feel like if I've had the chance, I'd give up everything and paint this or do this?
I think the dinosaur stuff was good, you know, because when I was a little guy, I was just, you know, dinosaurs was just a big deal, and there was a point where we reached when I was working with McGrady, that we did a pteranodon. It was a flying dinosaur, for a better word, and it's hanging in the Chicago Field Museum. And you know, I see pictures and I see that there. I go, wow, you know, that is really nice. And here I am, just some guy that liked monster movies and stuff and painted dinosaurs, and you see that and you go, wow, that's pretty good. You know, I like that.
And there's always something that's been dark, I feel, in all of our childhoods. And I don't know what that is. Whether it's the monsters that we watched on TV or the monsters that we saw in real life. And somehow we've been able to sedate that and get this out in a cathartic experience. At least that's been is that something that you share, that somehow when you're doing this, you're releasing something that, or feeling, you're at peace, you're doing something that you share that to it?
Yeah, you know, the mundane and the horrors of life and all the stuff that you have to deal with. You know that once a year you can come to a place where everybody's, Frankenstein, you know. Or I was just talking with a couple of guys, and we were watching Warner Brothers cartoon on a YouTube video, and knew exactly what it was. That little connection, that kind of frees it up, you know. I mean, here's presidential election year, and it's insane, and we're the goofballs with the Frankenstein models, and you know what I mean. That's that connection I liked of all of us. That's what I mean. It's ours.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say that, because I know everyone wants to say, oh, you know, we got to get the young involved. But that's just something that we have. That's our special thing. We carried it with us, you know. I'm okay with it.